Paddy Pimblett, last time you were in, critical of Paddy and where he was in his career at that time and the skill set he's shown. Have you been impressed with his development?
Mate, listen, I'm the first to put my hands up when I say I was wrong. Yeah, he looked incredible in that fight. The way he transitioned from the guillotine, then to the armbar, the triangle, it was a masterpiece on the ground. The guy's a wizard on the ground. I've always said that. Like, if he gets you on the ground, you've got big issues and big problems. Bobby Green shooting in, don't know what was going on there. Got absolutely no idea why someone had that many fights and that fight IQ would do that. But he did, and Paddy took advantage, so fair play.
Where do you think his ceiling is now? How far do you think he can go?
Well, I just seen that they're talking about him and Rafa. Now, if that's true, a hard fight, mate. Like I was just saying, he's the hardest guy I've ever sparred. And you look at where he is in the rankings and who's above him. There's some tough, hardest division in the UFC. The most competitive people like Arman Sarukian and like Islam Makhachev. Like, wow.
Even like your Dan Hookers of this world. We saw him out the other day looking.
Even Gamrot.
Fantastic. Gamrot,
just incredible fighters. Tough ask, but listen, my hands in the air. I was wrong. He looked great. Amazing transitions. Who knows where the ceiling is? I don't know.
Let's talk about Francis, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
He's going to be making his PFL debut later on this year. What does it mean to the company that you're fighting with to have someone like Francis involved and competing?
Mate, let's just start on this Francis Ngannou story. He has got, you think we've got stories, like Francis Ngannou's stories is the most incredible story in MMA. From where he's come from to fighting Tyson Fury and dropping him and leaving the UFC on his own terms and giving up and relinquishing his belt, being told you'll be nothing from doing this, then going on to do that. Then the tragedy he's just recently gone through. Then now fighting for the PFL. What a guy, what a story. And I'm so glad he signed for the PFL because, you know, it's gives so much credibility to the organisation. And people always say to me like, oh, you're in that thing that Francis fights in. That's literally how, he's that guy now, he's that level. And, you know, the acquisition of even Jake Paul and putting these big names and attaching them to the PFLs really helped my brand and me as a fighter and obviously the PFL. So it's great for everyone.
As of now, what would you say your top 3 heavyweights in the world is across all organisations?
Well, I'm a bit biased because I'm English and Tom's a legend. So obviously Tom, how can you deny him what he's done with the sport? Jon Jones and Francis, they're the 3 in my eyes. They are the 3.
You put Tom above those 2?
In no particular order. They're just 3 monsters that anyone that lands, it's over, isn't it?
Do you think we see Tom against Jon at some point?
I hope so.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Less than 50-50 at the moment.
Yeah.
Less than 50.
But he seems to be biting a lot more, doesn't he, Jon Jones?
He's having a little nibble,
he's biting, isn't he?
And, you know, the Dana White's been so positive about Jon and pushing him and promoting him so much at the moment. I'm hoping that is a method he's using to keep Jon interested. Jon fights Stipe, and, you know, I think most people think he's going to win that fight. If Jon then feels like he's still got a home at the UFC and the company's behind him, which they probably haven't always been, hopefully he sticks around. That's my hope. That's what I know. Dana's getting quite a lot of flack for how he's talking about Jon and Tom. I'm hoping he's playing the slightly longer game, which is he knows how to push Jon's buttons and keep him engaged. That's what I'm hoping for. Would you fight him if you were Jon? Would you fight Tom?
Well, you know, let's not take away like what Dana's saying about Jon Jones. He's absolutely correct. He is the greatest fighter that's ever graced this sport. In my eyes, Dana's eyes, in a lot of people's eyes, the stuff he was doing and has been doing, like to just walk in against Cyril Gane after all that time off and just make it look like he's never had a fight. You can never, ever take away from who Jon Jones is. But Aspinall is the new breed. He's an incredible athlete, incredible fighter. I don't know what games are being played, but as an MMA fan, I just want to see it. I want to know. We all do, don't we? And I think Tom deserves it. You know, the fact that he's an interim champion must be eating at him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He deserves the chance to be unified. So
I always think with the great fights, the one that really gets you exciting, it's that moment when everyone else leaves the cage and you're watching the fight and you're like, I have no idea what's about to happen. And I think that's a fight like that. I think when you get those two together, you'll be watching it thinking there's a thousand different things that could happen here.
Well, my last moment like that was Conor and Khabib when
Yeah.
I was in the crowd for that.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And I was there and I was like, wow, this is a moment in history right here.
Yeah.
And that's what that is.
Yeah.
And the UFC does need it. You know, you got started again. I didn't touch on Sean O'Malley, another huge star, Ilia Topuria. There is stars, but there's no bigger than Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. Fight, like, as an MMA purist, and heavyweights, it's just different. Everybody wants to watch heavyweights, don't they? They're the ones to watch. I just hope we can get it done.
Who wins?
I did a podcast yesterday with Adam Cattrall, and he said that Frank Mir said it's 90-10. 90-10 John will beat Tom. I think that's a crazy stat. I think it's a 50-50 fight. I really do. What do you think?
I find, 50-50 sounds about right. Maybe leaning towards John.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? I'm questioning you now.
Because I can't see anybody ever just flattening Jon Jones.
I know.
As great as Tom is, and would I love to see it, I'm just not sure anyone can do that to Jon Jones.
So you're going for the 90-10?
Definitely not 90-10. Definitely not 90-10. But it's like, if you can't flatten him, how are you going to go with 5 rounds with Jon Jones? And that is such a difficult thing for anybody to do. That's why, at the moment, I would still lean slightly towards John.
I'm with you, mate. Yeah.
Just because the method that Tom is destroying people, I can't see him just destroying Jon Jones. And if you can't destroy him, how else can you beat him? I'm sure he's got loads of other ways to beat him, but so is John. That's why it's good fun, man.
It's great.
It's not 90-10.
That we're having these conversations about an English fighter as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in terms of the current UK crop MMA fighters? If we were to do a sort of pound for pound list, because I think when people get asked this, your name doesn't necessarily pop up. But when you look at it and you know how good you are and you know what you've achieved, where do you think you sit?
I get asked this. You know, people have mixed opinions on it as well. Obviously, the PFL is not as mainstream as the UFC. They're doing a great job. Firmly number 2 now. But you've just got to look at my activity and the people I fought for how long. I mean, we touched on it before, 30-5 with 16 knockouts. It's an impressive record. Then you put it alongside your Toms and your Leons, your Bispings and your Dan Hardys and all them. And I would hope to be mentioned in the same breath as these people one day. But if I'm not, I always say this to people that, you know, I know Tyson Fury now, I've sparred Conor, I've sparred Peter Yan, I've sparred Dominic Cruz. All these people have got respect for me now, and I can talk to these people, and you know, they just throw comments on like, "Oh, nice, bro," stories, yeah, and I've sparred them, and they know how good I am, and they're like, I get respect off my peers and people I really, really look up to and respect. That is worth more to me than anyone's top 5, any egg on Twitter telling you this and that. The fact that I can speak to these people on a daily basis if I needed to, or like go and spar them, or like that means more to me. And you know, getting respect off people I've always looked up to and admired, that means more to me than that. Even Bisping, like having me on his show regular now, speak with him regular. Like Bisping, that was the first guy I watched at Cage Warriors when I first started this thing, and I class him as a friend now. We're friends, you know what I mean? And he's like, "You are one of the best in the world. Don't let anyone say that." So to get it from people like that's all that matters to me.
Yeah. So you don't care if people aren't necessarily putting you in there, whatever. They
don't.
5 UK MMA fighters at the moment. Not bothered.
Yeah, they don't. I'm not in them lists.
Do you think you should be?
I think I've earned it.
You're allowed to big yourself up, man. Come on.
I mean, it'd be hard to deny me, wouldn't it? Like, major MMA world titles. Who've we had? We've had me, Leon, Bisping, and Tom.
Yeah.
In major MMA, like 4 in the history of this country, and I'm about to do it again.
Yeah.
So how can you not put me in them lists? How it'd be hard to not put me alongside them names.
I wonder if you need one of these, like as you say, like a super fight against someone like a Pitbull, to really give you that kind of extra name recognition that makes you an automatic number 3 or number 4 or.
Do you know what I feel like I am? I feel like I'm the people's champ. I feel like if you know, you know. I'm one of them fighters. If you know, you know. Bit of an underground king. Bit of where like Masvidal was. where he
Yeah.
was fighting people for years, and all of a sudden he just come on the scene, and then like, wow, he's done what? For how long?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm that kind of guy.
MMA hipsters can get right behind you.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
That's where I think I'm at. Yeah, I'm not on the like the Paddies and the Leons who are mainstream now in the industry due to the way they've been pushed by the UFC and things and the skill levels. But like, I just feel like if you know, you know, like your Bispings and your Connors, the people that I touched on and Furies and that, like, yeah, he's the guy. You know what I mean? And I prefer that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
prefer that. Like, that means the world to me, honestly. I can sleep good at night knowing that I'm respected by them type of people.